Welcome, friends! Your favorite degenerates, Krista and Jason, are at it again! Let's celebrate the day!
What's the situation, Degenerate Nation?
What's happening, Degenerates?
Hey, we decided we would do something fun and...
different.
Yeah, I guess different for us. And go through some old cruise reviews on the multiple cruise websites out there and pick out 1-star reviews.
Because there's some whoppers out there.
I mean, there's not a lot going on with cruising right now. It's the same stuff as my cruise going to get canceled. When's cruising going to start?
Again?
So we're not talking about is room service worth paying for, what the new menu looks like, is this cruise the weather going to be okay?
Are they going to have masks or not?
So,
all that crap.
So we thought it would be fun to take a step back in time and look at the old reviews.
People who, in all fairness, well, in their opinion, had their cruises completely destroyed.
Maybe it'll help
over
bring
certain
things
aspects.
maybe a little bit into perspective too. We'll see.
Right?
Anyway, so we're gonna do this ship at a time. I think that's the easiest way to divvy this up rather than just scouring a bunch of crap off the internet. And the first ship we picked. We chit? I ain't chitting you. The first ship we picked is the Carnival Breeze. We didn't pick on Carnival. We didn't pick one ship over the next. Breeze just happened to begin with a B, and that was close to the top of the list of the major cruise lines. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, fair warning, there are some pretty inappropriate stuff here, in my opinion. We're going to try and bring a little humor to us. If you've seen our videos in the past, you know we've been critical of toilet paper, the food on occasion. It's not. We're not throwing stones at a glass house here. We understand that we've been critical, maybe even overly critical, given not having a cruise ship to cruise on right now. I would cruise with sandpaper for toilet paper at this point. So let's get going. All right. First one we found on the Breeze is, I have heard the term booze cruise, where people sit around and get drunk eating hot dogs and hamburgers while their unattended children fill the pool, but I never thought I'd be on one.
Well, let me just throw this out there for starters. I've never seen a freaking hot dog on the ship.
Yeah,
so
well, that's it. Yeah, you made my point.
Where is my hot dog?
Where can I get a hot dog?
And how can their children be unattended when their parents are at the bar, right there at the pool?
Maybe the kids are on vacation too?
Oh!
I didn't know there was
a family vacation?
I didn't know there was a rule that said that they needed to be attended.
Well, what do? Do you tie a leash to your child and you can't separate from that child? At all? Because
if you get on a ship, you paid your money, like our friend Tony says.
I paid my money.
You paid your money, and now you're having a good time, or you want to have a good time, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have a good time. That's the whole reason we cruise in the first place. Now, that might be you eat too much. It might be you drink too much. It might be you gamble too much. It might be you get a sunburn. It might be a plethora of things. You may play more trivia than you usually do.
Bingo.
Whatever you do in regular life to enjoy yourself, you're probably going to do more on a cruise. So, if you want to pick out the drinkers, I count myself among those people. And call it a booze cruise. You forgot to stop by the theater. You forgot to stop by the buffet. You forgot to stop at the Lido. You forgot to stop in the casino, because you'll find that there's a lot of other things happening on the ship other than this booze cruise that you apparently is happening with hot dogs that I'm unaware of.
Where are the hot dogs? I'm like, am I missing something?
Did Guy open a hot dog joint?
Are we missing something on this cruise ship? I mean...
All right, enough said about the hot dog-filled booze cruise. All right, next up. Awful security, as they banned me from purchasing alcohol because I was dancing in the halls with my mother after days of her being seasick. Oh. Why do I feel like I'm missing the rest of the story here? Do you feel like you're missing the rest of the story because dancing in the halls led to being banned from purchasing alcohol?
I think she was purchasing alcohol, then started dancing in the halls, and her mother got seasick, which they blamed it on the purchasing of the alcohol, which put her in the eyes of the security. I'm just ripping that apart and moving it around. Makes more sense that way.
I think they're dancing in the halls may be code for I was shit-faced and fell down. I mean, you know, we've all been on a ship, and we have seen, and I have been, the drunk guy. Okay? And you got to be really out of control. I have never had anyone even once even say,
approach us.
Sir, you're going to have to tone it down a little bit. And I'm not saying that I can get out of control or that I've been out of control. I try to be respectful of other people's stuff. But, you know, we're having a good time, hooping and hollering, you know.
We've tapped
whatever
15
the case is, you know, doing a little dancing.
Issues.
We've made friends with strangers. It's been fun, but not once have I been...
Nope.
Sequestered or put on a no alcohol diet for a day.
Yeah.
For dancing in the hall.
I've danced in a lot of halls.
And so this dancing in the halls with your mother after being seasick, after your mother was seasick, then,
days of it.
Somehow requires you to leave a 1-star review. Like I said, I think there's a failure to take responsibility here.
Yep, I like my version better. I just move the sentence around and make it more fun.
All right, next up. This one was about 4 miles long, and
this is the condensed version.
the high points are inadequate emergency and evacuation procedures. No safety evacuation drill provided. I had written to Lloyd's Register and Port Canaveral Authority to complain. Now, before we move on, let's just dissect that piece of it.
Okay, we've all done
no mustard.
No mustard?
Really?
There was no mustard
Really?
on that ship.
You were the luckiest person in the world, and you managed to get on a ship with no mustard.
No
drill.
mustard.
I would love to get on that ship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And spare me
Sign me up.
the 45 minutes or an hour of standing with a bunch of packed, sweaty people under an awning, sweating my ass off.
Now, this person may have been one of the unfortunate ones to not be aware of the loudspeaker and the go to your muster station announcements.
This is
And
the person that requires my muster drill.
Yeah,
drill.
to be 45 minutes
Or
long
an
versus
hour,
15.
because they can't find
Because they didn't show up. So,
Now, if you missed your muster drill, would you A, complain to Lloyd's Register, and B, call Port Canaveral Authority? This seems really over the top as a reaction
and the ship
to
has-
not having a muster drill or not knowing you had a muster drill.
it's in your cruise contract. It's also announced like repeatedly. It's on the back of your room.
There was a muster drill. I can we're 99.9% assure you there's a muster drill on your ship.
Yes.
Just like a plane won't take off without the safety briefing,
Yep.
a ship won't sail without a muster drill.
Nope. And everybody at the muster drill has to be accounted for. And if you're not, they find you and you get a private version.
Yeah, so maybe they went on without them while they were lost. I don't know. Anyway, so to carry on, let's see here. Inadequate security arrangements allowing me to access the bridge to protest ships. The protest to ship's second in command. I could have been a terrorist, except for the whole security screening part that you went through when you got on the ship. And,
Yeah.
we have been on behind the scenes
tour.
Very, very controlled. You don't just walk up to the bridge.
And what did he need to talk to the bridge command about? I mean, what?
This person seems like they may have brought a little something with them to the ship. Negative attitude, something. All right, so and then as we scroll down, they list out other inadequate sanitation, things like that. Exposure to alcohol, smoking, and gambling to minors. Only access through ship's deck through the casino. We've actually complained about the weird upsy-downsy, trying to get where you're going. But, I mean, as far as exposing your children to gambling and alcohol and
Welcome
smoking,
to life, folks.
Yeah, sorry to pop your bubble there. Unauthorized deductions from credit card accounts from the form of excessive tips for services. Like the gratuity, you mean? Maybe. Anyway.
That's also in the cruise contract, and it will be attached to each drink.
Next one. Beautiful. Gangs of teenagers intimidating passengers. Gangs of teenagers walking all over.
Gangs would be more than two, right?
It's total teenage anarchy on this ship.
Well, I appreciate
intimidating passengers, not just gangs of them just doing their thing.
What are they?
Intimidating.
Intimidating, like.
Yeah. Come at me, bro. Like, I'm a teenager on a ship, and the only thing I have on my agenda is to screw with you. Just
Where did this
doesn't even make any sense.
Where were these?
This is the same guy that found the bridge to complain to the second in command. So
Okay,
I have a
that's right.
feeling he or she is probably the kind of person that maybe wasn't quite going with the flow. May have been a little bit of conflict with some kids somewhere, which he took as intimidating passengers. By passengers, I mean that person. All right,
Wow.
unclean tables, crockery.
Crockery?
Crockery. There was crockery piled
There's crockery
everywhere.
happening. Woo!
Poor standards of meal. This was a fast food cruise. Burgers, pizza, fries were better than food served in the restaurants, so we ate mainly salads. When we asked if the food was washed with fresh water, we received no answers. What do you think? They washed it in the gray water? They hooked it and then just threw it off the back of the ship and rinsed it like bait?
This person is on the wrong cruise line, okay? You gotta pick your cruise line based on what you like. The teenagers, you can't go on a family-friendly cruise and then complain about the kids. And when asked if your food was washed in fresh water,
No, we don't watch it.
I'm sorry,
we
but
don't
they still
we
have
don't
to
adhere
follow
to food safety
food
standards here.
protocols and food safety standards. I mean, you can't give an answer to this stupid question. What they do? Wash it in your toilet?
Yeah, this a 1-star review, obviously, because
and they need to pick a different cruise line
they
because
weren't
this is
assured
totally
that
not
the
for
food
them.
was washed in fresh water. Gangs of teenagers, intimidating, and no muster drill.
Yeah, they need to choose a different cruise line that is geared more toward structure and formality, because this person did not do well with anything that was outside of the word fun.
Moving along. Carnival failed to let passengers know in advance that our cruise was an LGBT cruise. They allowed these groups to rent out the piano bar, comedy club, and nightclub. We were never able to use those parts of the ship. I didn't realize how vulgar and crude Halloween could get. We were most upset that Carnival did not put a stop to the homosexual couple who were dressed as a priest and a little boy in footed pajamas. Objectification of sexual abuse to a child is wrong regardless of sexual orientation. We had the choice to either stay in our room or be exposed to gay men making out in public. There were used condoms on the Serenity deck and situations that were inappropriate for homosexual or heterosexual couples. There were children on the ship. I'm thankful mine were not with me. The priest would have caused great concern for their safety.
Wow.
Whoa.
So
Talk about peeling the scab off here. I can't even believe this person had the gall to sit down and write this homophobic rant.
I'm embarrassed. I'm shocked. Carnival doesn't close down the piano bar, comedy club, or nightclub to just specific groups that are on the ship, because it is something
I'm
for
sure
all
it was
of their
open at
guests.
some point.
So-
There may have been some reserved functions for
Yeah.
this specific group cruise.
Right, but those three things are big deals, and so they keep most of it open. But in all fairness, I want to be on that cruise ship
I would love
because
to party with these guys.
they sound like they were absolutely hilarious, totally running with everything, having fun. I mean, as I don't want to be exposed to a man and woman making out.
I've seen way worse on a cruise ship, trust me.
Jeez, really?
I've had my fair share of things
Or
that
a man and a man, a
I
woman
wouldn't
and a woman?
necessarily think
Really?
were appropriate for children. But I mean, dude, you kind of gotta go with the flow a little bit.
People are people. Everybody is allowed to make their own decisions and do what they want to within the constraints of the law. There is nothing illegal about what happened on this cruise ship, nor what the cruise line did. And I am pissed that person needs to pick a different cruise line.
You know what the worst part
Cruise
is?
ship.
There's not even a cruise line for this person. Normally I could
No.
recommend, well, you should go on Virgin because there's no kids, or if you
No.
complain about the food, there's some more higher end alternatives, or if you think it was a booze cruise, then maybe a 7-day or a longer day cruise. But there's just not a cruise out there for homophobes. So
or
I don't even know
resorts. Where do they go?
I don't know. There's not anywhere. Yeah.
I mean,
This actually sits out on the internet as a review right now.
I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. Wow.
Who would want to be exposed to gay men in public? Holy shit! Wow! I can't imagine the revisions. What did version 1 of this review look like?
Yeah, version 1 or 2 of this review. I mean, this is a dialed down review. It's not ridiculously long, so they cut a lot of stuff out. I'm like...
No, this isn't the first anti or prejudiced one I've got. I got another one too. Thankfully, they're not. The Breeze has 1,281 reviews on this particular website. So we're only picking out 12 of those reviews. For the most part, humanity is still good. 13 of 1,281 doesn't even count as a percentage, but apparently anyone with a keyboard and a mouse can. This
is embarrassing. I mean, I'm embarrassed to be. Oh.
All right, next. All right, let's try and find somebody that's not offended by gay men in public. Here we go. Here's somebody that's offended by children in public. Mom and I tried the hot tubs once. This was the first on any ship for both of us. 9 cruises for her, 2 for me counting this one. We finally found space in the 4th hot tub we checked. Minutes later, a 13-year-old boy entered with his mom and talked my ear off for almost an hour about every B-monster movie made since 1961, the 10 novels he wanted to write, and tried to shove the name of every dinosaur in Jurassic Park book and movie into my brain at 100 miles an hour in an uninterrupted verbal stream of consciousness explosion. A hot tub soak should not leave you shell-shocked. The mom did nothing to stop this. I couldn't find a graceful way to extricate myself from the barrage. I did find out the kid had Asperger's afterwards, so reading social cues is often difficult. And while I respect this is a real disorder on the autism spectrum, just like respecting those with physical disabilities, I respect that we need to accommodate those with mental and psychological limitations. I didn't volunteer to have what should have been a relaxing few minutes shattered. Parents, your children are wonderful to you. Good luck with them, and I hope everything turns out great. For those of us who'd rather dig a tunnel to the moon than raise them, though, please, spare us. Pry them away from us when we're too polite to let you know we're being tortured. There was simply nowhere on the ship to go that was restful, tranquil, pleasant, and quiet. And the unending herd, including the children, was the primary culprit.
They were on the wrong cruise ship.
Wow.
And
I want to personally sit by this kid because all of those things I have interest in.
And I am, as much as this guy was upset by his unending barrage for an hour, I'm grateful that he was able to...
Breeze has a Serenity deck.
Yeah, it does. Dude, get a grip.
Yeah, the recommendation for me of how this gentleman can fix his problem with his mother would be to buy a yacht.
He just needs to go on an adult. He doesn't like kids.
You can be kid free. No unending herd of people.
I'm sensing
there was obviously some frustration. You mentioned that the 4th hot tub was the only one that they could find to sit in. So issues with crowds of people. Booked a cruise with 4,000 people on board.
Yeah, that's what happens. But I think I'm seeing a theme that people have problems with kids.
If it's really that important to you, get up, walk away. We have encountered multiple children
Yes.
on cruise ships, thousands to be honest, and made friends with probably 20, where we would remember the name and be like, "Hey, Sasha, what's happening?"
Exactly.
She'd come running up, and we'd just sit there and BS, and she'd tell us what
adorable.
she did today, and she went to Build-A-Bear. She got to swim in the pool, and we kind of debriefed our day a little bit. And it was just fun to hang out. That's part of one of the things that we actually find is a positive on a cruise ship is meeting strangers. A lot of people, seems like there's a theme here, of people that don't find that to be a positive thing.
Let me get this straight. People want to go on vacation. They want to do it affordably. So they pick a cruise ship where there's anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 passengers. Well, can be even up to 5,000 or 6,000 people on a ship. In a very, very tight situation where you're all hanging out together, but they don't want to have any communication or contact with those people.
Well, you can balcony or one of those super balconies with the hot tub.
Yeah.
If you need some privacy and you want to be outside, those would be options. But nonetheless, at some point you have to leave the door and walk out into this herd of unending people.
Oh, well.
Because that's how you cruise for $500 is you get 4,000 other people to pitch in.
Yeah. And it's a bonus.
Right. It's like I said, go buy a yacht. All right.
Yeah.
Next.
People.
I'm getting all worked up here. Okay. Person that cruised many times tries to keep their expectations low because apparently they're used to disappointment. The food was not what we usually experience on Carnival. Guys' burgers had no flavor. The fries were undercooked. They ran out of burgers several days. We ate at the steakhouse the first night, their anniversary. Found the food was just okay. Baked potatoes were undercooked. Meat was overcooked. Staff was rude. The food at the Italian restaurant was bland and overcooked all week. Mainly ate salads and unripe fruit at the buffet for lunch and dinner. Breakfast was just okay. Food in the dining room was the worst I've ever had on a cruise, and worse than freezer burnt TV dinners.
Okay, now I've had a freezer burnt frozen TV dinner. Because you were traveling for work one week and I found it in the bottom of the freezer, so I pulled it out and I microwaved it. So I've eaten one. Mm-hmm. I have never eaten anything on Carnival that was that bad. And they ate salads? Seriously? I love the salads.
We eat salad on a cruise ship. Wouldn't be our primary, but look. No one, I don't think, is going to BS you into believing that Carnival is some gourmet experience. I have had a lot of very good meals. We've had varying degrees. I'm not saying that everything that's come out has been phenomenal. I've
had a couple bad things, but just move on.
We're not foodies.
Nope.
In this person's defense, I make no claim that the Breeze's food was phenomenal on this trip, but nonetheless. It's always been more than edible.
It's always.
I've had some things that
more edible than others.
I've had some really good food. I've had some really good desserts. I've had some desserts that tasted
like cardboard,
a little bland.
Yeah.
I don't know about freezer burnt frozen TV dinner.
No, I know what that tastes like.
Maybe a bit of an overstatement. And then goes on to say, entertainment was so-so as usual. Casino was full of smoke and hot air, so we avoided it. Musical entertainment was enjoyable. There's a plus. Overall service was mediocre. I had two separate bouts of diarrhea, so I missed two shore excursions, but my husband enjoyed them until people were getting stung by jellyfish.
Well, I think she had the diarrhea because she was eating salads and unripe fruit all week. And, Carnival needs to be in control of their jellyfish.
Yes, definitely.
They need to
Carnival, if you couldn't clear the sea of jellyfish, then we have no business doing excursions.
Right.
The diarrhea, I would try some meds to try and deal with that. We've struggled on occasion with gastro, whatever, usually due to overindulgence.
We
eat
food
like
we
pigs.
Don't normally do. Yeah.
You're eating escargot. You're eating all kinds of rich foods. You're drinking booze. You're laying out in the sun. So
all sorts of stuff we don't normally do. That's why it's called vacation.
And you're totally off your diet, your normal gig. So that's the way it goes. And Pepto-Bismol, whatever else you could take to try and get your shit straight.
Pack a kit of things you might use. out when you're away from home. So I have a first aid kit, and it has all sorts of stuff in it that I may or may not need, but I take it with me anyway because I want to make sure that we have it if we need it. Pepto-Bismol, Tylenol, ibuprofen, you name it, I take it with us so we have it if we need it and we don't have to go find it.
Do your research. So this cruise was ruined because of frozen TV dinners and jellyfish.
Right?
And the shits.
The shits.
All right, let's
Looks
move
like they were
along.
up Shit's Creek.
And on to the next one. I have been on 30 plus cruises, and this was the absolute worst cruise ship for activities. I was actually bored and went to bed because the schedule was so limited. Never once watched movies because as an adult, Finding Dory, Zootopia, and Batman were totally inappropriate for adults.
Okay, so Zootopia and Finding Dory are two of my go-to movies. To de-stress, and because they're happy, they have a great message, and they're beautiful colors. I told you it would be fine.
Adult movies, and what were you hoping for? Goodfellas, Scarface, what
Well, what
trust
about
me,
the kids?
I love adult movies. You know, I don't.
We go back and forth. We go all around.
I do not expect to see that on a cruise ship. So I think
you love adult movies,
like Friday the 13th, horror stuff, things like that.
that's not going to be on a cruise ship.
If
you need something,
how do you fix this? What would be your recommendation to someone that was bored on a cruise ship?
I would download the, specifically on the Carnival Breeze, I would download the Carnival app because it gives you a list of activities that are going on right then and lists that are going on the rest of the day.
Don't you think a person that's been on 30 plus cruises would already know that?
Apparently not.
So I'm not exactly sure how a person of 30 plus cruises, who obviously enjoys cruising, they wouldn't get to 30 cruises unless they just enjoyed spending their money on bad experiences.
The other thing I'd suggest is you need to go to a bookstore before you get on the ship and get you something to do. Bookstore, game. I mean, there's even a game room on the cruise ship, so you could go and get a game. You can get free cards from guest services.
This one baffles me. I'm not gonna lie, but I can't not find Zootopia, Batman,
and Finding Dory.
And Finding Dory as inappropriate movies for adults as well. Okay, next one. After cruising on the Carnival Dream twice, we were looking forward to cruising on the Breeze. It's Carnival's newest ship and the Dream's sister ship. We were surprised that the ship was not as nice as the Dream. It looked like they went cheap on designing the ship. The AC was absolutely terrible. It was warm in our cabin and it never seemed to cool down. I called maintenance, but they told me it was working correctly. It was warm throughout the entire ship. The only place that felt cool was the casino. We will never cruise out of Miami again. The entire cruise had a Latin theme. The DJ Billy, mostly played Latin music on the Lido deck. Some Caribbean music would have been nice. No matter where you were on the ship, they were playing Latin music. I would guess that 75% of the passengers were Latin, and they were rude and acted as if they owned the ship. After cruising with Carnival 9 times, this is the first time that a crew catered to one ethnicity. We were not the only ones that felt this way either. The food in the Blush dining room was not up to par with previous experience. Our waiter rushed us every night and was not personal at all. The Southern Caribbean 8-night cruise had beautiful ports of call. Overall, very disappointed. Wow.
Okay, so on the air conditioning issue, call maintenance. Maintenance is more than happy to come in and fix your air conditioning.
I think the theme of bad air conditioning, I've read it multiple times on multiple ships. The air conditioning doesn't work like a motel air conditioner.
That's true.
It's a shared air conditioning system. And it may not be, us being Floridians, cool to us is a different temperature than cool to someone else.
Yes.
We set our air conditioner in the summertime at 78 degrees. If I was in Washington or New York, upstate New York, Minnesota,
70, 72.
It would be much different setting. That coupled with the humidity could make it feel quite warm, even though if you were native, it would be different. I can see where that could be a legitimate complaint, or at least something unexpected for the person cruising.
But remember, you're going into a hot climate, so it's hard to cool things down. I mean, outside is 90 plus, and inside
nothing
is hard
money
to get
won't
below.
fix. Then to move on to say
the decor.
Shame on you, Pitbull, for being so successful and having music that everybody wants to hear at that particular moment. Like I said, these reviews span the life of the ship, so they're not all recent reviews. You see that this was back when the Breeze was relatively new.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you don't want to hear Despacito, then walk away, I guess. Latin music is kind of party music, right?
It is. I love it.
So
it's what I like to dance to.
We've had the same 15 songs conversation. You've heard us in previous video. I have mentioned that the music is basically like listening to a top 40 station where it just cycles and then we start over
wobble
again.
baby, wobble baby, wobble
Right,
baby.
same songs over and over and over. So I can kind of get that part, but to single out the Latin and say the ship catered to one ethnicity seems
That's just racist.
a little biased to me.
And Miami is the largest cruise port in the United States, so you're going to have all demographics.
Yeah, it's a cruise ship.
It's a cruise ship.
Yeah, everybody got to come that spent their money.
Yeah.
Alright, next review. Never go to the ship's hospital.
Please.
I went to the hospital, or I went to get my husband Pepto-Bismol because it's not sold in any of the on-board stores for his hangover, and they told me he needed to come to get an exam before they could administer him Pepto. Yes, Pepto. He went for the exam, and they ended up quarantining him for 24 hours. They said he may infect the whole ship and start an outbreak. I didn't know a hangover was contagious. They sent hazmat team to our room and would only allow him jello and broth through room service. Then because of the wind, we couldn't dock in Grand Turk, so we had another long day on the lovely Breeze. Whew. All right.
So does Pepto? That's a new
I didn't
cure
know
for
Pepto.
a hangover.
Didn't know Pepto was a cure for a hangover.
Pepto's a cure for hangover. That's something new. I've never tried that.
Secondly,
I probably would never go to the ship's hospital.
if it's
for
your cure for a hangover, pack that shit.
Right?
If it's not a cure for a hangover, I don't know. I didn't know it was, but I certainly suffering from a hangover would not bother the hospital staff. And if I went to the convenience store and Pepto was my jam for a cure for a hangover, I would just switch to something else, ibuprofen, Alka-Seltzer, whatever else is readily available. I wouldn't go down and drag my husband to the doctor or the hospital.
They probably got a $10,000 bill for that.
Yeah, I don't know if they bill him or what, but wow. And then now he's been quarantined because he's been sick. It's almost
It's like it just gets worse.
a little, yeah.
So if you have a
And that's-
hangover, treat it yourself. Don't go to the ship's doctor because they may think it's something else.
Then part of their review includes it being windy and they couldn't tender into Grand Turk, so that's
Carnival. Oh my gosh! Can't you control the wind?
Come on, jellyfish.
See,
wind.
jellyfish, wind. I mean,
Rough
Carnival's
seas.
right. Carnival's got to get.
Of course,
their
they
act
did
together.
give the one lady or one guy credit
yeah.
for rough sea or for speeding or whatever it was.
Right. So this goes back to another thing that we've already talked about is if you might need it for any, you're on a ship, you're away from your house, you're not near your medicine cabinet, you're not near Walmart, Target, CVS, Walgreens, whatever. Take your mini Walgreens pack with you. They sell everything in travel sizes now. So take a travel size of everything, one of everything with you. That way you have something if you need it.
I don't know how you get so hungover, even if you needed Pepto, that you would visit the hospital. I haven't had a hangover that was bad enough yet to be like, yeah, that's fine, I'll go see a doctor about this. That's pretty incredible. I don't know where the whole spreading an outbreak thing, I think perhaps the staff was like, oh, you want to be like that, huh? Okay, you're going to stay in your room for the rest of the cruise. How you like it now, huh?
Or they were concerned that it wasn't a hangover and it was something else. And that would be the only
Well, you go
thing
down
I
there,
could see.
you go down there, and you know
It's game on.
Yeah, now all of a sudden you're at the mercy of the people that run the medical.
And it looks like they were only 3 days from home, so.
Yeah, I don't know what the timing was. It just wow. All right.
Wow.
On to the next one. Past cruises, 8 islands, Southern Caribbean, 6 of them never been. Carnival's famous at the fun. No fun activity, early dining, always long lines, wait an hour for the waiters to serve. Only Only been on 3 formal nights dining the entire cruise. Food is terrible. Super salty, without choices. I have been eating popcorn for dinner. Nothing is good on this ship. The worst cruise experience I ever had. I have never seen so many, I think she means to say, scooters and wheelchairs in my entire life. I feel like I'm in a nursing home or an assisted living facility. If you're young and active looking for a fun vacation, don't waste your time and money on a 14-day journey cruise with the Breeze. Bingo! Ding, 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 ding. You got on a Journeys cruise.
Journeys cruises.
They're always a lot more laid back.
Laid back, more sea days, less ports.
Now, okay, that covers why your cruise may not have been just hopping like a 3-dayer.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Well, the food is super terrible and super salty.
And they've been eating salted popcorn for dinner.
Yeah, popcorn's the fix. And now I have never been on a ship where the food was so bad that I was forced to eat popcorn.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that's just ridiculous.
Popcorn. Really.
They can do gluten-free diets, they can do low-carb diets, they can do diabetic diets, they can do all sorts of diets, but yet the food was so horrible they had to eat. They were forced to eat popcorn.
I have had everything so far that I've had to eat. 95% of it is above the line of things that I would eat here while in town.
Yeah.
Only a very small percent of it would I consider to be something that I really wasn't about. And some of it was due to me because that wasn't my thing.
Right.
It wouldn't have been a taste for me, but I was trying something new. So, okay, don't like that one? Just put that plate aside. Bring that next thing
You've
on.
even had cocktails that you've ordered that have been like that.
Well, shove it aside, man. Move on. So, you have my pity for having to eat popcorn for an entire 14 days.
But this person...
She must have got off the ship looking like something out of casket, right?
But she sounds like a foodie, so...
I don't know if it's a he or she.
Oh, it sounds like a foodie, you know, someone who's really into the dining experience and the food quality. And Carnival is, you know, they're good food. They're going to feed you. It's going to make a turd. But if you want that next level, you're going to have to pay for that next level, which is probably Royal Caribbean Celebrity.
Specialty dine. Obviously,
dining.
there definitely no one, like I said, is claiming that Carnival is this gourmet Wolfgang Puck experience in the buffet. The Lido or the MDR, I could make an argument that the food is definitely a step up.
Yes, I agree with that.
And
then the specialty dining should be a step above that. But
and when you're cooking 4,000 meals, there's bound to be 1 or 2 that maybe aren't done perfectly.
If it's not right, send it back.
Yeah, they'd be more than happy to get you another one.
They'll get you something else. They don't want you starving.
And then they go on to say you're better off to take 2 7-day cruises than you are to take a 14-day journey cruise, which actually
I
may
agree
be
with.
the biggest piece of truth for that particular, if you're looking for that busy boom, boom, boom.
7-day cruises have a little more, I mean, you're usually 4 to 5 port, or well, I'd say 3 to 4 ports. So you're going to be more busy, you're going to be more active. There's less sea days. It just sounds like they weren't into the sea days because...
Yeah, I don't know.
And popcorn.
But eating popcorn for 14 days, I can see where you'd start to lose your mind.
Yeah.
All right. Next review. Starts out, been on multiple cruises. Once again, this is the worst cruise ever. Remember, we're doing 1-star reviews. We go on to part of the cleanliness issue of this ship is the obscene amount of unruly teens running around without supervision. Goes on to talk about how the tables stayed dirty, random bowls and plates left outside people's rooms. I don't even know how that happens. How does bowls?
Room service.
Oh my god, never mind.
Room service.
Lights out in the main theater. I can't tell you what ruins my vacation more than a freaking light bulb is burnout. Rooms
I've
not,
never even noticed a burnout light bulb.
rooms not cleaned thoroughly. The wait staff walking around sometimes were friendly and sometimes seemed like we were a bother to even deal with. Again, I will state that the fact that there were so many teens unaccompanied by adults running around, making messes, splashing around in the hot tubs, all day, all night, defacing property, hitting every button on the elevator, 5-year-olds ordering sodas at the bar, etc. This made my trip the most least enjoyable cruise I ever had been on in my whole life. It sucked. I added the sucked part. I am so sorry that these unruly, unattended teenagers bothered your cruise. It's unacceptable. How could we allow these children to be on this cruise? Unaccompanied? Unaccompanied! Can you believe that? Kids without parents. Who allows that?
Have you guys ever been to the mall? There's an obscene amount of unaccompanied teenagers.
They were running around, unaccompanied, making messes.
Have you tried to run on a ship?
And I don't know a 5-year-old that ain't hit every button in the elevator. I'm so sorry. It happens, right? Shit. You could get me drunk and I might do it myself. I ain't saying it's right. I'm not trying to say
What floor are we on?
I've been the poor bastard that gets on the freaking thing after some kids hit all the buttons. Been like, alrighty, looks like we're getting a tour of every floor. And then you start in with the lingerie, sporting goods, drinking. Yeah, that's how many times it's happened. Okay.
But, wow.
Yeah. How dare you?
Wow.
Fix for that, Virgin.
Yes.
Or get on a very, very expensive cruise where families wouldn't afford to take a family
it'd be couples
of 4.
only, pretty much.
So, that's bad reviews for the Carnival Breeze. Would you cruise on the Breeze?
Yeah.
If it was the ship sailing tomorrow, I would be on that thing.
I'm fine with the Breeze. All ships are going to have negative reviews. They may not be as comical as these.
No, I'm sure they are. We'll find some more.
I'm sure we will. But no, with every positive with every negative there's a positive. So for every 1-star review you found, there's probably 40 positives.
Like I said, there are 1,281 reviews on the Breeze and this particular website where I found this dozen or whatever amount of bad reviews.
Yeah,
Given the opportunity, which actually our group cruise was on the Breeze at one point, we would gladly get on the Breeze and go have a good time. So
your vacation is what you make it. Don't dispel negative energy. It's a waste of energy. Wow. Just
get in your chakra.
Make choices. Make good choices.
Okay, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Or should we make this even longer?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Yeah, thanks for stopping by for Bad Cruise Reviews.
Bad Cruise Reviews.
Celebrate the day.
Celebrate the day.
Thanks for watching. Much love to our friends. Be the good in the world. Spread the love and go on an adventure. Please like, comment, and subscribe.